margins are like 2%. People steal from you all the time, and you can only, listen, tech company, you can come up with a technology that's so much better than everybody else that people have to use you. In the restaurant business, you can have a location, thieving employees, fickle markets. If you're not on the right-hand side driving the way to work for breakfast places, or the right-hand side driving the way home for afternoon places, all those kill you. It's a much tougher business.
Okay. Let's talk about wineries then. Chris, role of VCs?
Yeah, I think I would agree that the role is changing. You have to find somebody that is going to help you in a unique way. My quick story, we bootstrapped the company for 15 months. Myself and my 3 co-founders put money in. That took no salary. And in that period, we were approached by dozens of VCs who wanted to put money in. And our model is a little unique. It's products and professional services to accelerate the cloud. Every VC of that 2 dozen, 3 dozen, they said, you know what? We'll back you as a services roll-up or as a product company. You can't do both. It doesn't fit in our model. And we said, no, that's not the plan we wrote. Well, we've actually grown. We've been successful. Our service business is very profitable. We've got a good name. Those same VCs have now come back and said, oh, we hear you're a great example of the emerging hybrid model. Dude, I talked to you 4 years ago. You said we couldn't do it. So we found Sequoia Capital, 18 months in. They bet on us. They bet on the model. They bet on the disruption. And they've been a great VC for us.
And these VCs who 4 years ago told you that you couldn't do it, or you had to do it one way or the other way, did they have any operational experience? Were they just,
There was a mix.
Some from Goldman Sachs?
Some of them were financiers, some of them were operational, but they liked one thesis or the other. They couldn't grok the different model, which was really important to us. That was the business plan we wrote. So we're not going to go change our model based on what their model, their financial model dictates.
I'll say too, one of my favorite things is talking to a VC a couple of years later that turned you down, coming back and asking to get in now.
It's so fun.
Oh, you're doing really well, and I'm sorry that I turned you down back then, but now I'd like to get in. Sorry to do the door shut a long time ago.
Oh, no, that's where I always get my best valuations from. Sure, yeah, that's the price point then. Let's talk.
Success is the best regret. So, Treb, question for you is, in this kind of environment where there's very few liquidity events, it's not clear if there ever will be again, or as you say, recession will end. What are the tools for recruitment?
It's the same tools they always were. Let's be particularly blunt. No matter what you can talk about in getting $1 million jobs and all the rest of that, and of course, down in the organization, very few companies are going to have someone where the junior members make big money, right? That maybe the senior team has an opportunity to take some, but it's a small. People want to work on stuff that interests them, that they find exciting, and with people they like. And those are the things that drive you, whether you work in the restaurant business or you work in this business. It's no different if it's a 16-year-old waitstaff. They want to do something that's interesting, especially more if you get, as I said, 16-year-old waitstaff or 19-year-old programmer. It is an exciting technology, and they want to, with a company, I will say, that they think is going someplace. People take a huge pride, especially here in the Valley, for working for companies that they think are going someplace, and then they want to work with people who share those same ideals and goals. That's what keeps people coming on board and going on. And they know that if they make some money on the end there and put a down payment on the house, that's going to be a bonus for them. But most of them are driven by that they like what they do with the people they work with.
Yep, I totally agree. When we started our company, the founder sat down. We spent a lot of time talking about companies, the company that we all worked for in the past, what we liked, what we didn't like, and how we create, the company that we wanted to be and what we want people to be in, or the environment that people operate in. And I think people come to the company and they like working for this company because we're doing cool things, it's challenging, it's intellectually stimulating, it's fun, it's flexible. And yeah, at some point there might be a payoff, there might not. But if there's a payoff, that's cool. I'll pay off my house or be able to take a vacation. But I don't think people are waiting for that. I think if you set up your company so you're looking at long-term what the environment is and how great it's going to be to work here, and then maybe there'll be a payoff, as opposed to a lot of people who say, we're going to sell in 2 years and we're all going to be rich, and that's the reason you work in the company. That doesn't work anymore.
Okay, Mike?
It's absolutely true. Money is more of a side effect, I think, for a lot of people who are really, the people who are doing the great stuff are doing the great stuff because they want to do great stuff. They're not doing the great stuff because they want to make money. And if you come to them and say, hey, let's go make a bunch of money, they're going to turn you down. I mean, I think, more than any time in history, money is not the recruiting tool. If anything, it's almost an anti-recruiting tool. It's almost going to turn people off that you're trying to throw money at them. They're going to say, your idea must not be very good.
But do you differentiate between money and stock options? Are you lumping them together?
Well, I think that there is a differentiation there because a stock option can represent, it should represent belief in the company, it should represent belief in the vision. The type of people who you want to hire are the type of people who are going to say, well, could I maybe not make quite so much money and get some more stock because I really believe in this project.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say just cool projects, cool work, cool people. And I think the other one that may be a little unique is a plan. I think employees are smarter, prospects are smarter. They want to see a plan. They ask better questions these days.
What kind of plan? Business plan?
Yeah, not like, hey, I want to read your 6-page business plan, but they want to know the company actually has a vision, has a strategy. What are the key operating metrics? We've seen 35,000 resumes since we started the company. We've interviewed 2,500 people to hire 200. The first application we wrote was our recruiting engine. And what I found is that engine, the people are smarter and smarter and smarter. But if you have great space, cool project, great people, that's a formula.
Yeah. Okay. Gary, anything to add?
I'll tell you, we have a different experience in New York. You guys on West Coast?
Yeah.
Yeah, so New York's different. Now, the end result is the same, and that is, employees, they want to work on something interesting, they want to be happy, they want to work on what they like. But in New York, there's so much money being thrown after talent from the banks and the hedge funds, and there's a emerging kind of tech startup ecosystem growing. And so our experience is we got to kind of weed out the bullshit, the people that are just in it for the cash, and sometimes it's hard to kind of figure those people out, but I think we've done a really good job at it. And so if you find the people that, even in the New York ecosystem where they're being offered tons of cash, if you can find those people, they work out really, really well. But it is difficult to do.
Okay. I know we're running short of time for this part of it, but I want to ask one more question that I think is very useful for the audience, which is, in today's environment with Facebook and Twitter, coming to conferences like this, blogging, all this stuff, marketing, your advice, how do you roll out your kind of product?
How do you what?
How do you roll out your kind of product in today's environment?
Well, that's hard for us. We have a really long sales cycle. Our sales cycle to sell our product is anywhere from 6 to 18 months. And so we're just constantly going and working with our customers, the big media companies, and every day trying to get in there and just get a little bit deeper and move the ball just a little bit further ahead. And so the ones that we're signing now, today we started working on that in early 2009 to get to that sale today. We're going to roll out a product later this year, and we probably won't make our first sale on it for another 12 to 18 months.
But how did you get to that decision maker at CNN or Fox?
We just banged on the door and kept talking to people and found contacts. And again, we were talking about VCs a few minutes ago. We used every one of our VCs and people on our board and said, who do you know at, our first big customer was Turner. Who do you know at Turner? Find us the decision maker at Turner. We got to that person's assistant who connected us to it. We just went in there and made a compelling case, and we just keep knocking on the door and beating down the door, and eventually you get to somebody who listen if you have a compelling presentation.
Okay, Mike, how do you roll out the product today?
Doug, you ignorant slut. I'm going to have to disagree. No, I really think that that's kind of what everybody's doing. Everybody's like, boy, I want to get, especially where I've been doing all of my work is, it's all iPhone, it's all Apple, so the question is always, how do we get Apple's attention? And who do we know, who can we get a favor from, who can we call? This fails in this case. The only way that you can do it, I think, is from the very beginning, as you're building your company, even as you're forming your vision, you have to be asking yourself, how do I make myself into the kind of person, the kind of product, the kind of company that bigger company is going to want to pay attention to? In our case, how do we make a product that is going to sell iPhones? Because it doesn't matter if we know anybody at Apple. They're going to know us.
You have to bring something that's compelling why the bother? So I'm taking that as that's the cost of entry to get in there. The question is then how do you get their attention? I thought that's what we're talking about. So yeah, Jake.
I think it really just comes down to a matter of, when you're at the pound, how do you decide which kitten? It's always going to be the kitten who's a little friendlier, the kitten who's, doing a little bit more. It's not going to be the kitten who's looking sad and beseeching and saying, how come you're not paying attention to us?
Kitten analogy is great.
Well, how are you going to attack a kitten analogy?
So